Which brings me to California Governor Gavin Newsom. Respectfully, what are you doing? You're the governor of the state of California in the
What happens when someone picks the wrong fight and doesn't even see it coming? Gavin Newsom took a swing at New York, and Stephen A. Smith fired back with zero hesitation. No mercy, no pause, just pure verbal domination. What started as a political jab quickly turned into a full-blown media explosion. So how did it escalate this far? Let's break it down.
Not down with Gavin Newsom, because my issue with Gavin Newsom is like, listen, you look great in those blue suits. You're very articulate, very smart, very quick with it. I love how you've been trolling Trump, because I thought that was necessary, in order to compete with Trump. But I can't ignore the fact that you're number one in unemployment, number one in homelessness and poverty and all of this other stuff, and the price of affordability issues in California. I can't ignore all of that. I can't ignore the fact that there's no way I can see you winning an election with some of the things that have been happening in the state of California.
If you're enjoying this, don't forget to subscribe. It really helps the channel. From the moment Gavin Newsom stepped onto the national stage, he carried himself with a level of confidence few politicians can match. He's long seemed like someone aiming far beyond California, with his eyes firmly set on the national spotlight.
Donald Trump wants another election. You think for a second you want... I have 24 Trump 2028 hats. His folks keep sending me.
And you think he's going to run again?
No, don't give me. Who spends $200 million on a ballroom at their home and then leaves the house? This is serious, guys. This is serious.
So it'll be Newsom Trump in 2028.
No. This guy doesn't believe it.
But recently, that ambition collided with one of the loudest voices in media, Stephen A. Smith. And the result? A spectacle. On his show, Smith didn't just disagree with Newsom, he tore into him with intensity that instantly lit up social media and political commentary across the country.
Why are you over in Davos, Switzerland, talking to folks and speaking negatively about the President of the United States? What am I talking about? Listen to Gavin Newsom talk about Donald Trump today.
Did it stand out to you that he said Iceland multiple times when he was talking about Greenland?
And that every time a windmill turns, it costs $1,000.
This wasn't just criticism, it was a full-on takedown. To understand why it hit so hard, we need to look at who Newsom is, his record in California, and why his actions are drawing increasing scrutiny.
Crockett has been on this air, or invited on this show for 4 months. AOC has been invited on this show for 4 months. Gavin Newsom has been invited on this show longer than that. Props to Hakeem Jeffries. He's a friend of the show, always welcome on here. I like that man. I respect him. Chuck Schumer's been invited on this show, hasn't shown up.
Newsom's time as governor has been marked by big ambition and major controversy. His policies on homelessness, housing, and regulation have sparked both strong support and serious criticism. Many argue the results haven't matched the promises. For critics like Stephen A. Smith, that made Newsom an easy target, especially after he criticized Donald Trump on an international stage.
Being candid and open about his feelings about our president on United States soil. To go over to another country, Switzerland, to go over there and to be in the presence of other European leaders speaking against the President of the United States.
Smith didn't hold back. He called Newsom's move a massive miscalculation, arguing that America's political battles shouldn't be aired in front of the world. In his view, Newsom crossed a line, and it demanded a strong response.
His top Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom is speaking out against his own party. Newsom criticized the party and implored fellow Democrats to take accountability for their losses and called the party's current brand, quote, toxic, end quote. Newsom appeared on Real Time with Bill Maher and said the following, quote, Democrats, we tend to be a little more judgmental than we should be. We need to own our mistakes. We need to own what's wrong with our party. Part of the problem with the Democratic brand is that we talk.
That criticism builds on existing concerns. Across California, issues like homelessness, high living costs, and housing shortages continue to frustrate residents. Despite huge spending, results have been limited, fueling arguments that the state's leadership is falling short.
Personal belief is that the political career of Gavin Newsom is in peril, if not flat out over. His presidential aspirations have been eviscerated. There is no way he overcomes this. No way. And in regards to Karen Bass, to say nothing, you can come and speak out, but that video will live in infamy.
Smith's attack wasn't just about one moment, it was about priorities. He questioned why Newsom was focused on global politics while major problems remained at home. His message was simple: fix your own state before addressing the world.
Past people, end quote. Newsom recently launched a new podcast called, quote, This is Gavin Newsom, end quote. The California governor hosted conservative guests like Charlie Kirk and the aforementioned Steve Bannon. Newsom also found common ground with the right on the issue of transgender athletes competing in women's sports. He called these athletes' participation, quote, deeply unfair, end quote. Bravo, bravo, I mean bravo. I'm so very touched, Gavin Newsom.
Some say Smith's rant was more entertainment than substance. But even Newsom's supporters admit California's challenges are real. Projects like high-speed rail face delays, and costs continue to rise, raising questions about leadership and execution.
Say whatever you want here. As a governor from the opposite side of the aisle of a state in the United States on American soil, fine. But I'm one of those people, when we go somewhere else, it's America first. You know, our problems, yeah, our problems. But we ain't taking dirty laundry outside. Now, I know that sounds juvenile. I get that. Very simplistic in the eyes of a lot of people. But some things are worthy.
Critics argue Newsom is more focused on building a national profile than solving local issues. That tension, ambition versus governance, is exactly what Stephen A. targeted, calling out what he sees as misplaced priorities.
Gavin Newsom. I think the brother looks the part. He looks presidential in them damn blue suits, no doubt about it. He's sharp as a tack. He's smart as hell. But on far too many occasions, when he was spewing out facts, it was rife with emotion. Instead of addressing the facts that the right was throwing in his direction to debunk anything that he had to say. But we forgot to mention that to Bill Maher on Real Time.
To be fair, Newsom has strong supporters who point to California's economic power, innovation, and environmental leadership. They argue the state's problems are complex and not the fault of one leader, and that national engagement is part of modern leadership.
Of California that you would say that. Why didn't you add that you were the one doing it? Because that's exactly what the hell you were doing. When you talked about the right, when you talked about conservatives, when you talked about conservative folks out there and what their principles were and how they may not have been for transgender athletes competing in sports, how they may not have been for, for open borders, how they may not have been for sanctuary cities. Didn't you question?
In the end, both sides have valid points. But Stephen A. Smith's takedown struck a nerve, highlighting a bigger issue, the clash between media, politics, and public perception. Today, leaders aren't just judged by intentions, but by results, especially when the spotlight is brightest.